All right. Barakallahu fikum. So we are covering Nusuk. And we covered the Hajj timeline. Let me also draw to your attention this word Hajj does not have an extension letter. So, but the pilgrim, the one who goes to Hajj, the male that is, he's called Hajj. And the female, she's Hajjah. So that's where the extension is. We covered the Hajj timeline. So we saw that there's a time, it's called Ashhur al-Hajj, the months of Hajj, the Hajj months. This time here that I showed you, that's the time for IHraam, not the time for doing all of the Hajj. As if you could start your Hajj then with the meaning that you can get into IHraam, but you can't do all of the Nusuk yet, not until its time comes in. So the time of Ihram only comes in before the time of other things. And you don't have to make the Ihram then, it's just enough time, all that time. Like, for example, don't we make the intention at night for fasting for the next day? Yes. And with the intent, with the meaning that the whole night is a time for the intention. So this whole time, Shawwal and Dhul Qa'dah and 10 days of Dhul Hijjah up until the dawn of the Eid is a time for the intention for Hajj, the Ihram. And so that's Shawwal and Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah. Not all of Dhul Hijjah, some days of Dhul Hijjah. Up until the Eid. When is the Eid? The 10th of Dhul Hijjah. The Eid is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. And there's another holiday which is called Arafah Day. That's the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. So then it's really like we have a 5-day holiday there. I usually say it's like a 4-day holiday. It is a 4-day holiday. Eid and 3 days of Tashriq. But the day of Arafah is a special day too. Day of Arafah is a special day. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These special days here. 9 is Arafah Day. 10 is Eid Day. 11, 12, and 13 are the days of Tashriq. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So that's the time for the intention up till the 10th. Fajr, that is, up till the Fajr. The 10th starts when? At Maghrib time. The 10th starts at Maghrib time. The 10th starts at Maghrib time. And so Eid is 10th, starts at Maghrib time. Like every day starts at Maghrib time. Every new day, the day resets at Maghrib time. So when the sun goes down for the 9th, then that's the 10th at Maghrib. So the time of Ihram goes into the 10th, but doesn't fill the whole day of the 10th, stops at Fajr time. And we saw, yani, if we zeroed in here, part of the 9th and part of the 10th, part of the 9th and part of the 10th. This is Arafah, being at Arafah. So we have this diagram here. So we saw that Arafah, being at Arafah, that is, starts when at Zawal. Zawal, which is exactly when Dhuhr starts. So Dhuhr time, Arafah, being at Arafah starts at Dhuhr time on the 9th. Yani, we could say Dhuhr time and the start of Arafah, both of them are, yani, they share the time designation of Zawal. Zawal, the sun coming out of the zenith. Both of them share this time for starting. And if I want to say something that maybe is easy for some person to understand, I'd say Arafah, being there, the time starts at Dhuhr, when Dhuhr starts. So that's like what? That's like Jumu'ah. That's like Jumu'ah, isn't it? When does Jumu'ah time start? At Dhuhr time. It's not the same prayer. So Arafah starts there at that time, Dhuhr time, goes into Asr time. All that's the ninth, Dhuhr time and Asr time here. That's all the ninth until Maghrib time. This is still Arafah time, Maghrib time, but the 10th started. So now it's the 10th. Then Isha comes in. Then midnight comes in. So it's the midnight of the 10th. And Arafah is over at Fajr time. And the time for IHraam, for Hajj, is over at Fajr time. But let us rewind. Fajr time, let's go back. Before Fajr time, midnight. What happened at midnight? Tawaf time started, and shaving time started, and casting, that means throwing, casting pebbles at Jamratul Aqabah comes in. Okay. We also said that the nusuk, and nusuk, the word nusuk includes Hajj and Umrah. The nusuk has IHraam. We talked about that today a little bit. It has Arafah, except not Umrah. And it has Tawaf. And it has Sa'i. And it has shaving and trimming. That is the Tawaf, that's for Hajj and Umrah. The Sa'i, that's for Hajj and Umrah. The Halq, that's for Hajj and Umrah. The IHraam, that's for Hajj and Umrah. But you know the difference between them, that you can make the intention for Umrah anytime, get into Ihram for Umrah at any time, and for Hajj, it has to be during the Hajj months. Okay. And what we really covered yesterday was the timeline. But we didn't really get into what these things mean. So, before we go into that, any question? Okay. Now, we're coming out of the timeline and just coming back to these integrals. Ihram. We talked about that, when you can make the Ihram and the difference between Hajj and Umrah. But there's still more talk about Ihram we want to cover. So let us today, insha'Allah ta'ala, focus on the Ihram. Here we're going to zero in. Bismillah. Al-Ihram. Ihram has these root letters. Ha, Ra, Meen. Sounds like haram. What is this ihram? Well, there are some words you could translate. Could say, for example, sanctifying or sanctification. Or you could say consecration. Seems like fancy words. What does this mean? It means, in simple words, becoming in a religious state. Putting yourself into some religious state. Okay. So, what does this do? What does it mean? It means that now, while you are like this, you are haram. You are haram. Yes. And there's another word you can use. You might have heard it more. Muhrim. And if sister, then you're going to say muhrima. But for male or female, you're haram if you are in a state of ihram. And if you are not in a state of ihram, then what are you? You are halal. So any one of us who is right now presently not in a state of ihram, then you are halal. So, subhanallah, maybe you didn't think about you yourself being haram. So what does it mean that you are haram? It means some things. It means that if you're a male, you can't wear stitched clothing. If you're a male, then you cannot wear stitched clothing. That's something significant. Might not seem significant when you're only doing it for 2 days or 3 days, or maybe a week, and you're away from home. But if you don't get out of the state of ihram properly, then you're going to have to go to work like that until you can get yourself back to Mecca. It's going to be haram for you to wear stitched clothing. You're going to be walking around town like that if you fear Allah. And if you are a female, then you cannot cover your face with a veil that touches your face. You can hide your face. You can hide your face. When I say cover here, it means it's on your face. Can't cover face nor wear gloves. So can the female, when she's haram, can she wear stitched clothing? Yes, she can wear stitched clothing. But she cannot cover her face and she cannot wear gloves. And this in itself is evidence, is clear evidence, subhanallah, that a woman's face is not awrah and her hands are not awrah. Because if her face and hands were awrah, then it would mean that the worship demands of her to become more naked, less covered and more naked. If her face and hands were awrah, then it would mean that the worship demands of her to become more naked and less covered because she cannot cover her face or her hands while she is haram. And it's not the case, so then we know by virtue of that, the muhrima cannot cover her face or her hands, wear gloves, that is. That's not awrah. And what else? Also, cannot grease your hair. I'm just going to say grease here. You can add to that what means that. I mean, lotion, petroleum jelly, olive oil, whatever you're going to put in there. You can't do it. Question? Okay, can't grease your hair. And think about that too. Everything that I'm going to tell you that you can't do, think about failing to get out of ihram properly and what that's going to mean for you until you can get back to the haram and finish whatever you need to finish. So means then you're going to have dry hair. And maybe for a woman, it's more significant. And what else you can't do? No perfume. So, no perfume. Anything sought for its fragrance. Not just spray, not just oil in the bottle that you put on your skin. Also, if it's in the soap, or if it is in the deodorant for the armpits, or for anything else like that. Or if it's in the lotion, or if it's in the shampoo, or if it's in your food. So no perfume. Here, the best you can do then Had you had the misfortune of not getting out of IHraam and you're home and you got to get back to the Haram somehow to get out of IHraam, then you're going to have to use scentless everything. Yeah, if you use those things. What else? Also, can't clip nails. So that's big. It's not small. Yeah, it's significant. It's not super huge, but yeah, maybe you need to clip your nails though. Because when you put all of this together, means like if it's a brother, it's more apparent because he can't wear stitched clothing. So you gotta go to work, and even you cannot have like underpants on because that's stitched clothing. So you're wrapped like this, your hair is dry, your nails are long. Allah is wise. Subhanallah. What else? Can't remove hair until the time of shaving. Until the time. What's the time here? You said, so we can use a perfumed bar of soap? No, you cannot. You cannot. You cannot use anything perfumed as long as you are haram. You cannot even have it in your food. You said, what does the good one mean? The good one? Oh, what does the food mean? Yani, literally. I mean, I'd never, as far as I know, put perfume in my food. But if someone had perfume in his food, it's haram to eat that while you are haram because it's going to be counted like you are applying perfume. It's going to have the judgment of applying perfume. And you cannot put the rose to your nose. That's going to be counted as perfuming too. You cannot remove the hair until the time. When is the time? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Midnight. Midnight of the Eid. You remember? Here. The day of Arafah is the 9th. Being at Arafah starts at Dhuhr time on the 9th. So then, that's Dhuhr time, then Asr time, still the 9th, then Maghrib time starts the 10th. Still time for Arafah. It's nighttime now. And then Isha comes in. Then midnight's going to come in. What happens at midnight of Eid? Tawaf time. Shaving and trimming time. Halq and taqsir. And also throwing at the stations. Jamratul Aqabah. That station. Throwing at that station. Jamratul Aqabah. There's 3 stations. Throwing at Jamratul Aqabah comes in at midnight. These 3 things here. So, if we look at our timeline, what if a person decided to get into the state of Ihram on the Eid? Eid al-Fitr. So this means he needs to be spending all this time, the whole month of Shawwal, whole month of Dhul Qa'dah, not doing anything that a muhrim can't do. What else he can't do? Also cannot participate in the marriage. Why I said it this way, can't participate, because that's broader than getting married. Participating in a marriage is broader than being the one who's getting married. So you cannot, if you are haram, you cannot participate in a marriage on any level, at any capacity. And the marriage will not be valid. What else you can't do? Also, can't be intimate with your wife or your spouse. Yani, no foreplay. What else you can't do? Yani, no foreplay or more than foreplay. You cannot hunt. Can't hunt wild edible land animals. Can't hunt wild edible land animals. Now I'm just going to keep these words here simple on the board so you can get just a picture that makes you understand. So this muhrim, what he's going to look like, he's going to look like the one described by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has two pieces. The one who has two pieces, something that covers his lower part and something over his upper part. It means two wraps. It's not staying on by stitches. And his hair is messy. Yani he's dusty. This one. That's how the muhrim is. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam described someone in a hadith. Someone has this description. And he said, Allah has slaves like this. The people would push them away. The people would drive them away. But if they were to raise their hands and ask Allah, Allah would grant them. So that's how the muhrim is being like. As for the female, the case of her cover is more urgent than the male. So it's not as loose in her case. In her case, she maintains being able to wear stitched clothing while she's haram. So you see all these things are haram here. So what if you do them? Well, there's some details. Let's just list a little bit here without going into details. And then I think we'll save some of what needs to come for later. Let's see, where do we need to go from here? Where do we need to go from here? One, what if you do something haram? What if the muhrim does something haram? When we say something haram here, we mean haram for him, not the ordinary haram. That needs discussion. Yani, that's not 5 minutes there. Also, how do you become halal? How do you return to the state of being halal? Because I'm warning you emphatically about getting into the state of ihraam and failing to get out of it. And then going back home and being stuck like that until you can somehow get back to the haram. That one I can answer for you easily. We just go back here at the things that come in at midnight. There's 3 of them. If you do 2 of them, you will undo your ihram for everything except what pertains to women. Here. How do you get out of the state of ihram? Look at these 3 things here. 1, 2, 3. These 3 things that come in at midnight on the Eid. Getting out of ihram has 2 steps. It's called tahallul. Tahallul. That's getting out of ihram. You have tahallul, first tahallul and second tahallul. Second tahallul means you're completely out. Now, if you do just 2 out of these 3, do 2 out of these 3, you will have done the first tahallul. First tahallul legalizes everything but what pertains to women. So you still have the women issues remaining. After you did first tahallul, now you can put your clothes on, put perfume, grease your hair, clip your nails, be happy, relax. Insha'Allah ta'ala, thank Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, and praise him. But still, there's something left. The issues pertaining to women, they remain haram for you until you do all 3 of these. If you do all 3, then you will have completed the tahallul and became halal again. Subhanallah. Any question? You said, I have a question about the place of intention. If a person was flying from Jeddah, then driving to Mecca, does the intention occur mid-flight or during the drive to Mecca? Okay. Good question. And your question goes here. Number 3, the obligations of IHraam. The wajibs. Obligation here means wajib. And so the obligation is to be in a state of ihram before crossing the miqat. To be in a state of ihram before crossing the miqat. So this means if you wanted to get to Mecca and you were coming from some different places. So if you were coming from the north, then you don't cross the miqat without getting into a state of ihram. If you were coming from this way, from the west, you don't cross the miqat without being in a state of ihram. Flying, walking, driving, it's all the same here. If you're coming from somewhere between miqats, then you don't cross what's between them without being in a state of ihram. That's haram. It's going to be haram if, hold on. It's going to be haram if you were going to Mecca with the intention of doing nusuk. Not just you were going to Mecca only. And then you passed the miqat. And then after you got there, you decided you wanted to do nusuk. No. From before you crossed the miqat, you were headed towards Mecca. You were bound for Mecca. So to do the nusuk, then it's going to be haram for you to cross the miqat, any miqat, without being in a state of ihram. It's clear? If you cross the miqat, if you cross the miqat, that's 2 extensions there. If you cross the miqat without being in a state of ihram, while bound for Mecca for nusuk, it's obligatory on you to go back if you have not yet engaged in any nusuk. You're welcome. Alhamdulillah. Any other question? Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.